Now, Justice Scalia, throughout his history, has said some very questionable things about gay rights. We're going to share the top 5 worst quotes for you guys. First, let me set the table for you, because Justice Scalia, of course, has often pretended that he's in favor of rights. He has said things like, quote, "It is our moral heritage that one should not hate any human being or class of human beings," which he then immediately, of course, went on to violate by hating gay people and saying that they shouldn't have the same rights. In fact, let me read you from that same decision by Scalia. He continues, but, there's always a but, right? Whenever people say I guess we should treat everybody equally, but I had thought that one could consider certain conduct reprehensible. Murder, for example, or polygamy, or cruelty to animals, and could exhibit even animus towards such conduct. Surely that is the only sort of animus at issue here, moral disapproval of homosexual conduct. Now that's his dissent in the 1996 case, as you see there. So nicely done. Immediately, right out of the gate, everybody should be equal except gay people are the equivalent of murderers. So now here's a slight problem with that analogy. And I know that it's an analogy. He's not saying they're perfectly equivalent. Murderers, you see, kill someone else. That person is dead. You've taken away all of their rights because you've killed them. Whereas gay people don't kill anybody. They don't hurt anybody. They have consensual adult sex. But Scalia is offended because of his so-called morality. It doesn't bother him at all, except for the fact that he thinks you have to listen to his religion, which is not in the Constitution at all, but he's never cared about the Constitution. He continues with these offensive analogies. Texas' ban on homosexual sex undeniably seeks to further the belief of its citizens that certain forms of sexual behavior are immoral and unacceptable, like laws against fornication, bigamy, adultery, adult incest, bestiality, and obscenity. So here we go again, comparing gay sex to bestiality, among many other things, right? Once again, the horse and the sheep do not consent, whereas we have 2 consenting adults. And if you got into Scalia's sex life and what he does among consenting adults, you'd be like, how dare you? I want a small government. I want a tiny, tiny government. Oh, getting into your bedroom. Well, I'm totally turned on by that. So yeah, I want a really big government, and I want to know all the sex acts you're doing. Okay, so he continues. Many Americans do not want persons who openly engage in homosexual conduct as partners in their business, as scoutmasters for their children, as teachers in their children's schools, or as boarders in their home. How much does that sound like the segregationists back in the day? Many Americans, upstanding Americans, don't want blacks as boarders in their homes and in their restaurants and in their bathrooms and in their pools. We can't have these people cohabitating with us and living with us. Absolutely not. He continues in that same case. They view this as protecting themselves and their families from a lifestyle that they believe to be immoral and destructive. Every single time there was an argument made back in the civil rights days about blacks not being equal to whites, there was a biblical argument dredged out. People don't make that argument anymore, so you think, oh, that's not true. Go back and read your history. Always, well, look, God created the races separately, and it says in the Bible this, and it says in the Bible that, and it says in the Bible I should have slaves. I'm making a moral argument for why whites and blacks should not mix. That's what they said. That's what Scalia says now. That's, unfortunately, the ruse they use every time to discriminate, but we're not done yet with his loathsome quotes. He also says in that 2003 case that he lost. Remember, in the 2003 case, they wanted to criminalize homosexuality. So if you have homosexual sex, you're going to go to jail, right? He said, quote, "It doesn't say you can't have sexual intimacy," referring to that Texas law. It says you cannot have sexual intimacy with a person of the same sex. Oh, how clever. So he continues that line of thought, and follow him along here as he mocks gay people. He says, "Men and women, heterosexuals and homosexuals, are all subject to Texas prohibition of deviant sexual intercourse with someone of the same sex." You understand that? He's basically saying, hey, listen, gay people can't have gay sex, but neither can straight people. Got you. You see, we're applying this very equally because straight people can't have gay sex either. I'm so clever. This guy is so smug and always thinks he's just the smartest guy in the room, when all he does is base his whole ideology not on the Constitution, but from outdated laws from rabbis from 2,000 years ago that do not apply to today at all. He's a giant hypocrite. And finally, here comes one of my favorite quotes on this issue from Scalia. Again, he's like a child. He's like a third grader. Suppose all the states had laws against flagpole sitting at one time. You know, there was a time when it was a popular thing and probably annoyed a lot of communities. And then almost all of them repealed those laws. Does that make flagpole sitting a fundamental right? Get it? Oh, gay people, flagpole sitting. You want to make that joke at a barbecue in your backyard? Whatever. You know, I might disagree with you, and depends on who your company is on whether they'll laugh or they'll be mortified. Here's a Supreme Court justice talking about flagpole sitting and calling any form of sex he doesn't agree with sexually deviant. And he wants to outlaw what kind of sex you can and cannot have, specific kinds, in your own bedroom, and then has the audacity to call himself a small government conservative. Nonsense. This guy is a homophobe of the highest order, and he's not going to decide any case based on the Constitution or the law. He's just going to decide it in his particular case based on his great desire to discriminate against gay Americans.